Welcome back to iShine Connect.
I think for people who are struggling with things and discouragements, that it's really important that they tell a close friend that they trust so that part of that burden can be lifted off their shoulders. And just other older Christians, mentors, they can really help you through hard things because they've been through that, and they know what it's like to go through these years, and so they can give just encouragement and advice, and it's really helpful.
They feel like they're unloved. They never felt, the love that only God can give them. They might have been abused or something like that. And, it's sad to think, but these kids are in our schools. These kids are everywhere. I mean, if we just look at them through God's eyes, he would say, this one's been abused, this one's been hated, this one's been said, you'll never make it. But we need godly people that'll come to them and say, you're gonna make it. You may have been abused, but God can use you. God used David. He had adultery with another girl. God still used him.
They're feeling a lot of rejection, like they've been rejected from their family. Some kids feel like my parents don't love me, I'm all alone, my siblings hate me, or my friends don't think that I'm cool enough, I don't match up to the standards of them. And they're walking around this phase of rejection, because there's so many sources of hurt and rejection. And being able to shine the light of Jesus down into that will help them feel they are worth more than gold.
Welcome back, everybody. Today, I am blessed to have with me Miss Cassie. Her story is amazing, and I know that it will just leave you with a new perspective on loneliness and how you can overcome that. Thanks, first off, for joining me and sharing this story, which I think is going to benefit so many other people. But why don't you start by telling us a little bit about what has happened in your life?
Thank you. When I was 4 months old, I was in a car accident with my mom. And my mom, unfortunately, didn't make it. Then, when I was 3, my grandma and my dad and I were in a car accident, and my grandma didn't make it, and my dad, due to traumatic injuries, has been in a nursing home ever since. After that, I lived with my grandpa and my cousin. And when I was 4, unfortunately, because of a propane gas accident, our house blew up, and my cousin passed away. After that, it was just me and my grandpa, and I adored my grandpa. He was my everything, and he found a lovely woman that he fell in love with, and he got remarried when I was 7. And then, unfortunately, not long after that, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. After a long battle, by the time I was 12 and in 7th grade, he lost the battle to cancer, and he passed away.
So much loss at such a young age. I mean, the loneliness and the feeling of losing everyone, it's just amazing that you're here today. And I can't wait to continue to talk about how you went through this, because that, I think, is the biggest part of your story. Why don't we take a look at the show and how they talk about dealing with loneliness?
It's hopeless. I'm gonna be depressed for the rest of my life and die a lonely spinster, friendless and alone.
That escalated quickly. Hey, you could always take up a knitting class, specializing in swine winter wear.
You know what I like to do when I get lonely?
Besides talking to your socks?
Nothing beats calling home.
You think so?
Oh yeah. Talking to your friends and family goes a long way in lifting your spirits.
Still don't see anything.
Harper, can you hear us?
Harper, honey.
Mom, Dad.
Is this thing working? Hello?
Yes, it's
Where's
working.
the power?
Look right there.
Where? Okay.
Harper, sweetie? Is that you? It looks like Christmas threw up on you. What are you wearing?
I've heard that one before. How are you guys?
Now what have you done, Ralph? It's jumping all over the place. Honey, can you hear me?
Fix it.
How are you doing,
I'm
sweetie?
gonna fix it. Hold on, it's broken.
The school's nice and all, but I think I'm feeling a little homesick. I feel alone sometimes. Well, actually all the time. I can't stop crying. I really love you guys, but I just want to go home.
I can't hear a word she's saying. I haven't been able to hear a word this whole time. Have you?
I'm so sorry, honey. It's breaking up on us. We're just gonna have to do this later.
Mom, Dad, did you hear me? I said I love you guys. I really do. I'm utterly alone.
You know, I think that clip shows us a little bit about loneliness, but the level of loneliness from your own story, it blows that out of the water. But I love that your story is redemptive, that you're on the other side now. So why don't you share a little bit about that?
Right after my grandpa passed, my first response was to just fill these holes. Fill these holes, whatever I could get my hands on, whatever I could say, whatever I could do. And I just kept going until, luckily, my best friend started to reintroduce me back to a youth group. I'd gotten away from that while my grandpa was dying of cancer and after he had passed. But thankfully, she started going to this youth group and really invited me along. So I started to go, and I started to go every Wednesday, started to go every Sunday, and I started to realize, you know, that God needed to fill that hole. I had the answer the whole time. I just had to get back to it. So we started going all the time. And then, you know, these new youth pastors came in with their family, and they started a service that was at Saturdays, and I started to go every Saturday. And my step-grandma at the time, that my grandpa had remarried, she was great, but I was trying to be that typical teenager and push the boundaries and stay out as late as I could. And she didn't really know how to discipline me at that time. And I wanted to be a teenager, but I knew I needed discipline. And I wanted a family that was normal. So this family that had started our youth group, they really started to take me in on Saturday nights. And then it became more and more often. And eventually they took over guardianship and adopted me into their family. So not only had I found the one hole that needed to be filled by God, I found this earthly family that was wonderful. And now I have my own family, my own husband and child. And as a teacher, I have 130 new children every day. And I couldn't be more blessed.
Wow. And you know what I love the most about your story is it's a process. It transitions, you know, going from filling the holes with things that you thought were going to be fulfilling, but never were. But then you found the one true thing, which is always God, to fill that. Thank you so much for sharing your story. It is so powerful. And I know people watching this at home are just going to be blessed by the way that you've lived your life. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And for you at home, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
What would happen if we actually decided to change?
If we used the Bible.
If we used the Bible.
The Bible.
To help us with everyday situations.
Our friends, our music.
Our families.
Is there any topic the Bible doesn't cover? This is
iTopics.
Have you ever felt alone? I know we all have at one time or another. It was just a few days ago that I was stranded in the airport. Cancellations, delays, storms. I had no one, no family, friends. I was all alone, just me. But in the Bible, Joshua 1:5, it says, "No one will be able to stand against you as long as you live. For I will be with you as I was with Moses. I will not fail you or abandon you." See, God is saying that He is always with us, and no matter how we feel, alone, empty, He is always there. So remember, when you do feel alone, maybe a friend abandoned you, or you have a really tough situation at home, God is promising you that you are never alone.
We'll be right back after this short break.
It's time for MLB Pitch, Hit, and Run. the official youth skills competition of Major League Baseball. Host a local event and give kids in your community a chance to compete in the Pitch, Hit, and Run Finals at the 2024 MLB World Series. Sign up for free at pitchhitrun.com.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.